So if you've ever gone down the rabbit hole that is hashtag Dream Talk on TikTok or anything dream interpretation related, it doesn't take long for things to start getting very strange. From liminal spaces and telepathic communication to astral planes and astral projection, some pretty wild claims are being made that go beyond the abilities of science to prove or disprove. Well, welcome to the DreamApp podcast. My name's Jesse Lyon, Chief Dream Scientist at DreamApp, and today I'm joined by Sanela Estrella. With over 560,000 followers on TikTok, she's an intuitive dream interpreter and life coach who has a wonderful perspective that I'm eager to share with you because I think you'll benefit from it. So join us as we take a look at the intersection between science and metaphysics and learn how to unlock the power of your dreams so you can bring back peace and confidence into your life. Hey, all right. The intro isn't really anything. I'm going to cut all that out, but
Okay.
it's just when I click record, it does a little countdown. So it sounds like way more theatrical than it actually is. Oh,
Okay.
man. Well, this is great. How are you? Thanks for being here.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. When you reached out to me, I was excited, but also like nervous because obviously you have a ginormous following. And I haven't done a podcast
I
in a
don't
while,
feel any
so
different than when I was a small channel. Like that's what's weird about it. Like people say that, but it's like I don't know, it just feels the same to me. The numbers are just numbers sometimes, you know?
right. Yeah, no, for sure. I 100% agree on that. Like when people say that to me, which I don't feel that way in the grand scheme of things, but your number is a lot larger than mine, so I don't know.
You have quite a few followers though. I mean, a lot of people really look to you for kind of guidance and insight. I mean, you help quite a few people. So I mean, it's nothing to laugh at. Over 600,000 last time I checked.
Almost 600,000. Little over
Almost
five and a half, but
600,000. You're right there.
yeah.
That's a lot of people who really kind of look to you for like that insight and guidance. I love it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I love it too. I never expected to be here, but here we are. It's very fulfilling. I'm sure it is for you too.
Yeah, same. Ah, man. That's what kind of got this whole thing started for me was, there's so many different things you can go into and do, but I wanted to do something that left a lasting impression. That actually like made people's lives better. So I can identify with that for
For
sure. I know that's what
sure.
motivates you
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. But I think what I'm most interested in talking about is we kind of talk about the same topics on our channels, but we come at them from very different perspectives. And I am just so thrilled to be able to get some insight from you and to like talk about your own way of doing things, your own sort of understanding of just being a human and dreams and greater consciousness. So I'm stoked. I'm
I'm
stoked.
so
Um,
excited to talk to you about this too.
yeah. I think now I don't know, you're gonna have to correct me if my terms are wrong, right? But the way that you kind of refer to your dream work is you refer to it as intuitive dream interpretation.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit like just elevator pitch? What is intuitive dream work? How does that work and why would it benefit somebody?
So, intuitive dream interpreting is kind of a term that I gave myself. I'm not certified in dream interpretation in the same way that you are. I really look at it as more of a psychic gift. Um, so, the way that I do my dream interpretations is I need a written version of the dream. I need someone to write it out so I can see it in writing. Because when I read
Okay.
it, it comes up kind of in my mind's eye. And I do use traditional dream interpretation like symbolism. I study Chinese symbolism and, just kind of think about what something in the dream represents to me. But then I also get these random messages that come up that seem to me completely unrelated. But when I do mention it to them, to the person that's receiving the dream interpretation, it
Yeah.
usually really resonates with them. And they're like, wow, that's totally random. But yeah, like that really resonates. So it just kind of comes up in that way for me. So my strongest clairs are clairvoyance and claircognizance. So I just kind of combine those and use that to um, get to the bottom of it. And I know that my style of interpretation isn't right for everyone, but I feel
Mm.
that the universe really brings me clients that are needing exactly what I can offer. And that's really all that I can ask for.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. Well, and what I think is so interesting about this is even though we kind of conceptually come at things from a different angle, I would imagine that our practices are actually very similar in a lot of ways. Because as you're describing your way of intuitive dream interpretation, I'm thinking, well, it's really not so dissimilar from the experience that I have. I just say it's the collective unconscious or it's the unconscious mind, and I use maybe more sciencey terms, but
Hmm.
I really think that we must be, just as humans, when we're connecting empathetically with another human, we must be interacting on the same, I don't know if you want to call it planes or energetic frequencies or just the same kind of collective experience of being a person. Connection is connection. That's kind of what I think. So
Absolutely.
that's really pretty cool. So you made a mention of something in there. You said there are some things, some clairs that you are very good on, or very good at.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that? Help me understand what you mean when you reference those.
So the clairs, there is four of them, and the clairs just mean your psychic abilities, and everyone has all four. Clairvoyance
Oh,
means clear seeing. Clairaudience is clear hearing. So you might have thoughts come up in your head that, you just hear a little voice in your head telling you to do something.
yeah.
Clear sentience is clear feeling. So that's like empaths, and it can even go down to physical. Like, say, I touch this mouse, and let's just say that this was from the 1800s, and I touch it and I can feel who owned it before, and I can get information from it that way. And then clear cognizance is clear knowing. So things just happen and you just know. You can't explain how, but you just have this inner
Mm,
knowing.
okay. And the two that you say you really specialize in were which of those two?
Clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, that's my inner
Okay.
vision, and then clear cognizance, which is the inner knowing.
Nice. Nice. And so this is really what you use to kind of help people work through their dreams.
Absolutely. Yep. And everyone can tap into this. So I
This is something
definitely would.
everybody has. Well, that's encouraging.
Everybody has it, and
Yeah.
usually it'll be one or two that you are naturally more inclined to do. And you can really look at your verbiage and see in the way that you say things. Like, for example, if I'm saying, I see what you mean, you're seeing, clear seeing. So you have the clear vision, you might be clairvoyant. But if you say, I feel
Yeah.
you on that, you might be clairsentient. But if you say, oh, I hear you, like that makes sense, clairaudience. So if you look at your
Okay.
verbiage, you can kind of see, even if you don't feel like you have a strong sense of any of the clairs, you can look to your verbiage and see what language you're already using to kind of figure out where your strong suit is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Does this, as you're saying this, this kind of brings to my mind some of the like personality tests or some of the kind of research into different types of intelligence. You know, some people are kinesthetically intelligent, some people are mathematically intelligent. And so they really have done a better job of breaking down the way that people think and their intelligences into many different categories. Because for a long time, we really overemphasized sort of analytical mathematical intelligence as like the only standard for intelligence, which is really not fair, because there's a lot of things to be learned and a lot of gifts that people have, much more than just logic and intuition type stuff. Is there an overlap there, or are those very separate? Those two ideas, because they sound similar when you say them.
I think as humans, we feel the need to separate everything when
Mm.
really there's no reason for everything to be black and white. I think that there is really an overlap in everything, especially when you're looking at, like science and metaphysics or spirituality, even if you will. And there was a time in human society where they were together working simultaneously, because I see so many overlaps between science and spirituality. But
Yeah.
we've just come to a point in society where it's separated. But I do feel that we're moving towards a place where we are seeing that they're actually more connected than we've made it seem in the recent years.
Yeah. It's been, I don't know if you experienced this. I agree with what you're saying. But at times, because I feel like we are in this in this age of progress towards kind of reuniting them again, there can be some real pushback on those things. I know as we started DreamApp, one of the things that we really wanted to make sure we did was to make sure that people understood this is a science-backed, research-supported mental health application, because um, there is kind of this connection between sort of the metaphysical and the dream. And so a lot of times we would get criticism. A lot of times on my channel, I would get criticism, even by other therapists or other medical practitioners, like, oh, this dream interpretation, it's bogus, it's nonsense. There's a lot of good research to support that it's not bogus, that it's incredibly helpful, that it's been used for years and years and years, especially with trauma, which is my background. And so we've had to be so careful, even on my channel and in the app, the way we advertise it, to make sure that people understand this is for your mental health. This is not just my opinion. This is not just maybe something religious. And I
Right.
make a big distinction between religion and spirituality. Do you run into that kind of frustration with people, kind of some of that pushback when you're trying to help, but they try and make it black and white?
I do, and I kind of run into it more on the opposite end of the spectrum. I really try to back things with science as much as I can, just because I know that there's a lot of skeptical people out there, and I have a healthy dose of skepticism myself, and I think that everyone should.
Yeah.
But if there is science to back it, I 100% think that that evidence should be shown. But then there are things that are more considered like woo woo and things that we can't really see or understand, but I still do believe in because of these unexplainable experiences that I've had within my own life and my own practice. So,
Mm.
I do kind of get that pushback. I really love science. I love learning about it. There's new science coming out every single day. And I love learning about, the new science on health and just how it's changing. But I feel like a lot of people are stuck on the old ways. But since there is new stuff coming out, new species, new studies, all of these new things are coming out, I think it's important that we stay open-minded and up to date with these things. But yeah, I definitely do get that pushback from the science side and the more skeptical side, but I do have such an appreciation for both. I think they're both equally important. But like I said, I feel like it would just be a better place if they could work together simultaneously.
Yeah, like if we could just take, what is helpful, what is beneficial from both and just use it. Why do we have to be, I mean, again, skepticism, criticism, important. Like test what you know, make sure that it's helpful. Blind faith is not always the best solution to
Right.
problems that we
Yeah.
face. But if something is helpful, okay, we'll figure out why it works later. Let's keep exploring this. Like let's not kind of put obstacles in our way from taking this journey, from improving ourselves, just because we can't fully explain why it's working, why it's happening. We'll get to that explanation. That's at least my thought about it.
Yeah. I love the way that you said that. You hit it right on the nail.
Yeah, we just limit ourselves so much. So one of the questions then, if we're kind of thinking that way, are there some things or certain instances where it's like, yeah, definitely we're gonna have to make a hard line there. Meaning, maybe not a hard line even, but meaning like there's certain things that you're like, yeah, that really doesn't have a place. That can be, harmful or negative when it comes to things without an explanation. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes, but you would have to give me kind of an example, I think.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm totally describing it well, but what comes to my head is for instance, like I'll get people into my side of TikTok who will give religious explanations for dreams, and they're like, "This is what it is. There's no questioning it. It's 100% this." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Like, I respect everybody's interpretation, but hold on a second. Why are we just blindly following that? Maybe we should take it and sort of digest this a little bit. Let's analyze it a little bit." So for me,
Mhm.
as much as I love the spiritual interpretations, I love the scientific interpretations, but for me, there is kind of this line when it comes to that, where I'm like,
Right.
okay, we need to be careful about having that kind of communication, that kind of dialogue where it's like, this is it. It's about this specific religious sect or specific religious interpretation, I think that can be kind of damaging. Do you have any of those that you run into or you keep in your mind to kind of protect yourself when you're working with these things?
Yes. So I get the religious backlash almost every day, if not multiple times a day. Um, I've been so turned off by organized religion since I was very, very young. Just because there's so many things in all different kinds of religions that just really did not feel right to me, and they never made any sense to me. And when I started branching off and going down my spiritual path, I was like, oh my gosh, you don't have to be one thing. Like, you don't have to be nothing. You can be everything. So I do think that it is extremely damaging when, like, this is the only answer. This is the only way. There's no way around it, because I think everything is a situational basis, and we're all our own people, and we're all vibrating on this different frequency. And what makes sense to one person might not make sense to the next person. So I think it's really important to kind of add, like, whether, like, say it's science based, like, this is backed by science, or if it's spiritually based, like, these are my
Yeah.
beliefs and this is what has worked for me. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but like, I cannot stand when people push other people's beliefs down their throat. It is just like, let everyone be and do what feels right for them. So I 100% agree
Right.
with you on that.
Yeah, it's tough for me because being a counselor, I'll get like relationships in my office where the one person's like it needs to be this way, and the other person's like it needs to be that way, and it just creates so much tension and conflict. And of course, we need to find a way to do it. We do need an answer to move forward. Um, so finding a way to be like, okay, I recognize what's valuable about this. I recognize what's valuable about this. Let's see how we can combine those to move forward together instead of only picking out the points and flaws and not really making anything constructive out of this. That for me is a huge boundary that I think up until this point has been difficult with dream interpretation work because there have been so many just really strong it has to be this way or it has to be that way. I mean, even like Sigmund Freud was kind of that way. He got in these arguments with Carl Jung about the way that dreams should be interpreted from a psychoanalytic framework, and they eventually split over that. The whole
Hmm.
school of psychoanalysis broke down because of the difference in their interpretations instead of just taking what was beneficial.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Well, that helps a lot with understanding the way that you kind of interact with those difficult topics.
Yeah, it
um,
just really boils down to kind of feeling out the person that you're interpreting, I think. And like you said, just working out
True.
what is valuable from one side and the other and mixing it together.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What are on that topic? Some people in the dream interpretation community have kind of this opinion that only the dreamer can interpret the dream. Um, I kind of have my you know, sort of doubts about that. There's some things I think are true about it, some things I don't think are true about it. How do you come to that topic? Do you think that only the dreamer can interpret their dream, or do you think there's some universal truth in, oh, well, you dream about this? There's definitely some of these elements going on.
I think that there's definitely some elements of the dream that the dreamer can only interpret. It might be
Mm.
something that's very, very specific to their life, and maybe they're not open to sharing with their dream interpreter. Um, but I do think that there is a lot of value in going to someone who does this for a living and is maybe more experienced with the messages and the symbolism, or in my case, where just these random messages just come through for this person. Um, so I think that there's value in doing both. I interpret my own dreams, obviously, when I wake up in the morning. I'm sure you do the exact same thing. But I have noticed in another sense, if I'm going to try to do a reading on myself, a psychic reading, it is
Mm.
really helpful for me to go to another psychic for a reading, because sometimes the judgment there is clouded. For dreams, I feel like that's really like a gift that I've had since I was so young, so it just comes through so clearly for me. But it never hurts to have like that kind of second what is the word?
Like opinion?
Second opinion, but confirmation of like what you were already
Ah,
feeling. Yeah, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so I think it can go both ways. I don't agree 100% that only the dreamer can interpret their dream. Of course, I don't think that each symbol can be so rigid. Like, for example, years ago, I got this dream dictionary, and it says all the words like a regular dictionary, but it would just say one
Yes,
meaning in there. And like, okay, so like fire means anger, but okay, but fire can mean so many more things than just anger. It could
absolutely.
be passion, it could be destruction. There's just so many things that it can represent, and you have to look at it in the context. And sometimes the dreamer can't always see that context where someone else might be able to see it for them.
Yeah, and I think most people that come and at least talk to me, and I would imagine that probably talk to you, or even that are downloading the app, they come to this place of dream interpretation because they're frustrated. They got a dictionary, they looked it up on one of the many websites, and it gave them this. This is what it means, and it just didn't resonate with them. And so there can be this real frustration because they know that there's deep insight and meaning in this dream, but they just can't uncover or unlock what the symbols mean. And so there's this tension inside. And for me, there's something really beautiful about being able to relieve that tension for someone and give them that, it's almost like the weight just
Yeah.
drops off their shoulders when they're like, oh my God, that's it. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. That's exactly what's going on because it resonates. And so that was one of the big struggles. Maybe not struggles, but one of the things we really kept in mind when building the app, for example, is we wanted to have an element that was Dream Dictionary-esque, that really did a robust kind of understanding of the different archetypal symbols, where they've come from, a study in history and sociology, but then have kind of questions or ways to really make that symbol personal. So don't just leave it at the dictionary side. Ask some questions to kind of pull out, okay, this is generally what it means, but how are you directly connecting with it? So that way you actually get something that's useful to you today, not just a history lesson, you know?
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah. And for you, it sounds like that almost just kind of spontaneously comes out. You start to see things and experience things that are like, oh, this is connected. That's connected. This may be
Mm.
taking place.
Yeah, it
That's really cool.
literally it feels like I'm putting together a puzzle. That's how I always think about it. Or
Yeah.
maybe even like an analogy. I try to look at it in that way. Or like just a metaphor,
Yeah.
like it's just like this crazy story, but there's just this message that's so clear right underneath. I don't know if you ever read those children's books with talking animals when you were little.
Oh, I
But
mean, I feel like everything when in my childhood had talking animals in it.
yeah, I'm totally blanking on the author. He wrote all of these children's books where they were talking animals, but there was just a life lesson at the end of every single one. And I think that that's really how I try to
Oh,
look at the dreams.
like a little like Aesop's fables kind of thing?
Yes, Aesop's fables. Those are the ones. Yep.
So good, man. So deep too. Oh my gosh. Like I feel like some adults need to be reading those and remembering how to
Absolutely.
share and play
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But even in those like stories, there was such deep meaning. Like the characters they would choose, the animals that they would choose made sense. Like even
Mhm.
I think about like the Wizard of Oz, you got the cowardly lion. What a perfect metaphor. Lions are about
Mhm.
courage and strength. And so to have that kind of play inside that, that story of here's a lion, but he struggles with cowardice is a great metaphor, is a great use of that archetypal image to develop something that we all experience just as people. And
Mhm.
so it's just really cool. Like when you actually sit down and take some time to think about it, it's incredibly impactful, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a question that I've been waiting to ask you. I don't quite understand it myself, but a lot of my users ask me about it. Can you tell me a little bit about the astral plane, astral projecting? What is that? That's a little bit outside of my science field, and I would like to understand a little bit more.
Yeah, so I love this question. I could talk about this all day. So what I believe to be true is that there are 7 layers of the astral plane. And They're basically
Okay.
different dimensions, I guess, different planes of consciousness. And what I believe is happening when we're dreaming is that our higher self is taking us through these different planes of the astral to kind of give us these experiences for our dreams. And for me, I think dreams are a real thing that is actually happening to your astral body. So you have your physical body and then you have your astral body, which is kind of your spirit or your soul. So I think that your
Yeah.
soul is leaving and traveling through these different planes of reality, and that's how you end up dreaming. And I think that dreams are so normalized because, like, I don't know about you, but I'm flying through space in my dreams. I'm fighting off demons, and I don't know, crazy stuff is happening in my dreams. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's just no way that I'm imagining this. How am I imagining this? So I
Well, we
honestly,
even had Yeah, we even had I had a conversation with the dream experts that we hired, like doing some training just this week, actually, kind of chastising them on we do not use the terms real life and dream life. It is all real life, right? You have your waking experience and your dreaming experience. You have your waking life and dreaming life. And so it's really important even to me to kind of eliminate that phrase because it trivializes the dream experience. You are experiencing a level of consciousness. There is an altered brain state that is just as real as your conscious brain state that we're talking with now. And so we don't want to trivialize that. It's super important, if not more important, because of the insights that can be gained. So, yeah, just to agree with you,
right.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
I 100% agree with that. And if there's anyone listening that doesn't understand that, in your waking life, the only way we are perceiving our current reality is through our five senses. If we did not have our five senses to perceive our reality from, what would we be experiencing? We would basically just be in a meditation. If you've ever done sensory deprivation, you know that some kind of crazy experiences can come through there. But getting back to the astral plane, so yeah, you can intentionally astral project, but a lot of people do it on accident, and it is really one of the craziest experiences that you can have in this human life, in my opinion. The first time that I ever astral projected with the intention to astral project, I was laying in my bed. I had to do probably like 45 minutes to an hour of meditation just to like really quiet my body. And I had
Mm.
my eyes closed and I had a really small lamp on in my bedroom just so I could see if I did leave out of my body. So I'm laying in my bed with my eyes closed, and I can feel my spirit lifting out of my physical vessel. And all of a sudden, I can see with no eyes. I'm seeing with my spirit. I'm looking at my ceiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? I'm out of my body. I'm disconnected. And it's just like one of the craziest experiences that, you can
Wow.
learn to do. Um, it's something that you really should only be doing when you're in a high state of consciousness. You're feeling really good. If you are feeling sad or depressed, I really wouldn't recommend trying to go out of your body because there are
Mm.
planes to the astral. And if you get stuck in those lower planes, you can really see some scary things. But there is a lot
Mm.
of things that you can learn about yourself when you are astral projecting. You can go and see different dimensions of yourself and what you are doing in different timelines of yourself. You can go explore space or go to the moon or go on a brain vacation to somewhere where you can't afford to fly to. I don't know if you want to go
Man, a
to,
brain vacation sounds nice.
yeah, if you want to astral project to Hawaii, be my guest. Go on a little vacation, take however long you need. Yeah, there's no perception of time there, and it's just a really, really powerful thing to learn how to do. And there is a lot of people that actually astral project on accident. And they think that they're dreaming. They're like, oh, I had a dream that I was flying around this city, or I had a dream that I was like floating up to my ceiling. I'm like, oh, no, you
Mm.
weren't. You were out of
Wait a
body.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, as you're saying this, that's crazy interesting. That is super, super cool. I don't even know what sense to make of it. I don't think I've necessarily had that experience myself, but a lot of people who talk with me definitely have. It's bringing to my mind a lot of the current research about lucid dreaming. So I actually just attended with DreamApp. The International Association for the Study of Dreams has a yearly conference, which is super cool. You should definitely go if you're ever
I
interested.
would love to go to that.
Um, it was fantastic, honestly. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it was a great time. Learned a lot. But what fascinated me is about, I mean, I would say about 50% of the research that was presented at this conference was about lucid dreaming. And it's really been about lucid dreaming because it kind of asks this question and explores this topic of what is human consciousness. And I didn't get it at first. I thought lucid dreaming was just a way to control your dreams and to have some fun while you slept. But then when these researchers started really talking about their motivation for, doing these studies, it's a deeper sort of connection with and understanding of, like I said, human consciousness. What is it? When you shut off all of your senses, when you take away those, five senses like you talked about, what's left? What actually is it that makes us cognizant, that makes us human, that makes us alive? If we take away our senses, and it explores that question. Anyways, a little bit of a tangent, but just to say, I'm noticing kind of this connection, correlation between lucid dreaming and this idea of astral projecting. This astral
Mhm.
projecting you talk about. Are they different from your perspective? Are they the same, or what's their overlap?
I would say that they are two different things. Usually, astral
Okay.
projection is done more intentionally as you are before you fall asleep. You can actually also do it at any time of the day. You just get yourself into a deep meditation. There is tons of methods on there. On
Oh.
on the internet, I have a really good one that I learned from, I think her name is Teresa on Gaia, where
Hmm.
you just make a black hole on your ceiling and you just imagine that the black hole is going opening and opening and opening, and you go through it and you set your intention on where you want to go, and that's where you go. So I think that it's more of
That's
a
great.
kind of an intentional like waking thing, whereas I know a lot of lucid dreamers, they have their methods of kind of waking themselves up within the dream. But
Hmm.
I feel
Yeah.
like there is a lot of people that will accidentally become lucid. Like I know that all the times that I've become lucid in my dreams, it's because a dream character will tell me, like, for example, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. And they're like, wait, yeah, you can. You can do anything. And I'm like, oh, I'm in a dream.
Wait
And
a
then I'll do
minute.
whatever I want. Yeah. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's just my experience where it's more of an accidental thing, but I have heard from a lot of other people that something will trigger something happens in the dream that will trigger them to become lucid.
Yes.
Whereas astral projection is more of an intentional thing. I don't think that there's too many people that will accidentally astral project, although it does happen.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I was under the impression that astral projection was really something that only happened while you slept. But you're saying it's definitely not.
Yeah. So basically, you can either do it by putting yourself through sleep paralysis, which, if you
That
are
sounds
already
scary.
someone that has sleep paralysis, I wouldn't do that because you don't want to leave
Mm.
your body unattended when you see a sleep paralysis demon in your bedroom. Like that's really scary. So you actually
Yeah.
don't have to put yourself through sleep paralysis to astral project, which is something I learned in the recent years. And I think it's a lot more helpful to just do the meditation version of doing it, so that you could do it really at any time of the day and really use the nighttime for dreaming or for rest and regeneration, whatever you need to do. Because
Okay.
from what I believe is, when we are dreaming, we're still somewhere in the planes of reality, in the astral plane. But
Hmm.
when you are doing so much work, your consciousness is so active within the astral plane. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I wake up and I'm so exhausted. Like I just worked like a 10-hour shift in my dreams, or, in the
Yeah.
astral plane. So I think that learning how to do that maybe during the day, or like maybe a few hours before you go to bed, is maybe more beneficial for astral projection than using it during your entire night of sleep.
Yeah, I actually just saw your pinned video on that about like your astral duty and waking up exhausted. Like, definitely had that experience. I never thought about it kind of in that context. The way that I've always kind of thought about it is, you know, uh, from the sort of medical side, right? From the sort of trauma side, which is like when somebody really wakes up exhausted, I've always conceptualized it as the mind is really trying to process data, almost like a
Mm,
computer. When we are awake and experiencing our life, we are intaking data through those five senses we talked about. The problem with the brain and with computing, with just consciousness in general, is you can't absorb data and process it at the same time because data that's in your working memory or computer analogy, your RAM memory, can't be stored in your hard drive. It can't be stored in long term memory. You have to process it and then
mhm,
shift that data into long term memory. So, when you've had a particularly stressful day or you've experienced a significantly traumatic event or you're extra anxious or you're going through a mental health struggle, your mind is really trying to be like, okay, how do we integrate this into our long-term story? How do we make sense of all this experience that's happened? And the brain does a lot of work, and we can track that, we can look at it, we can, connect you
mhm.
to some scans that show, yes, this person is doing a lot of work while they sleep in order to make sense of this stuff. I think from the intuitive dream work perspective, it's, kind of this astral duty. I can't really say whether that's true or not. From
Yeah,
my side, I've always just kind of said it this way. I'm not discounting it for sure. I think what is valuable about what you're kind of describing is it really tells the person and communicates to them that the work that they're doing is important and they need
absolutely.
to respect themselves. They need to care for themselves because there is some really sort of sacred kind of experience that's happening while you sleep that you might need to take a little bit of extra care of yourself in order to
Mhm.
accomplish. Whether you subscribe to kind of this the medical model or the intuitive dream work model, it's fine as long as you're taking care of yourself. That's my goal.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just be kind to you,
Yeah.
okay?
And I think both sides are really, really valuable, and what you're saying
Agreed.
makes so much sense. I know I read a study that even if you are not moving for the entire day, you're laying on the couch, but your thoughts are going crazy, you're just really thinking about a lot, you'll be equally exhausted as if you just worked out or you were working all day, because you're using so much brain power. So I 100% see the value
Yeah,
and the science behind it. I think that they can both, apply and work together. I don't think that one side is better than the other. I just think that it's about, what resonates for that person. But I'm very open to hearing both sides always. But yeah.
agreed. Agreed. Yeah, and there's even a lot of conversation in the mental health community, like practitioners who talk about how exhausted they are at the end of the day, and people who aren't counselors will kind of make fun of it, like, "Oh, you had to sit in a chair all day. It must be so hard."
Oh my gosh.
But when you're empathizing with someone and you're seeing clients all day and you're really thinking so hard to leave yourself, enter into their shoes, understand their problem, and help them come to a solution for it, it is intensely strenuous mental activity. And so, yes, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted because there is a lot of mental work that goes in, so much concentration, so much attunement to their experience that has to be done. And so, intuitive dream work for you, experience that exhaustion. For me, as a mental health counselor, experience that exhaustion. Don't discount your experience of being tired just because you think I didn't do anything today. You're probably
Right.
working really, really hard and you need to take care of
Absolutely.
yourself. Super important.
And I,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. And I think that, even just taking on and listening to people's trauma, it's such a heavy thing to take on. And when you're having person after person kind of bring all of this onto you, you empathize with them, and it hurts you too that, that other human beings have to go through this. And, for example, if you just got some bad news, you feel tired after. Like it just exhausts you, it drains you.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing bad news after bad news after bad news and you're trying to help people process that, it is so much work. It is such a heavy load to take on. And when I first went to college, I actually was going with the intent of being a psychiatrist. And after I took a few
No
psychology
way.
classes, yeah. So I was
Wow, that's
like,
cool.
I ended up saying like, wow, I think I'm too sensitive to take all of this on. And it ended up being that I'm working and helping people with their mental health again, but it manifested in a very different way. And I think it's in a way that resonates
Yeah.
more with who I am today. But I 100%, I am validating you. You are tired and you have the right to be tired. You're doing a lot of work. And the work that you're
Thank
doing
you.
is very important.
Same. And I feel that way about the work that you're doing as well. I just encourage people though. It's like, I do get some people who worry about placing that burden on me as a therapist. And I always remind
Oh,
them, like, hey, I've trained my whole life for this. Right. This is what I want to do. And I make this analogy. I'm like, if you take a major league baseball player, right? You got a pitcher and he just throws that ball as hard as he can at like a toddler with a baseball glove. That toddler's going to get slammed. It's not going to be a good time.
yeah.
That individual, that toddler, is not prepared for that level of intensity.
Right.
Now, if you were to get that toddler to throw that ball to the major league pitcher, well, the adult would get kind of bored after a while. And
Yeah.
so it's like that. I've spent my whole life, you've spent your whole life training and practicing to carry these things. And so there's nothing in the world that I would rather do than listen to these, try and solve this puzzle, try and listen to this riddle and help that person find the answer within themselves. It's just such an incredibly rewarding experience. And so I never want anyone to feel like they are placing a burden on me because I've never felt that way.
Yeah.
Uh, but for those haters out there who's like, oh, well, you just sit there and intuit things. No, it's hard work.
It is. It is for sure. And I really put a limit on how many a day I will do because when you're
Just good
accessing,
boundaries.
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that when you access these other levels of consciousness to intuit things, it can be so exhausting. And I know that every psychic out there will vouch for that and agree.
Very much agree. Very much agree. Well, I know, a big part of like my work throughout the week is, we have dream experts in the app who talk 24/7 with people about what they're dreaming, what they're going through. And so part of that is after we shut off our phones, after we shut off the connection with our clients and users, we kind of all get together and care for each other and build each other up and support each other with successful stories and what's actually going on in our personal lives. And
Aw.
so being there to kind of create that community that cares for the caretakers is really, really important too.
Yeah. We
Huge.
all at the end of the day need to be cared for. And I feel like that all boils down to what we're here for is just being there for each other and for
Yeah.
ourselves. And we all need it, no matter how much you're helping other people or how much someone is helping you or how much you don't want the help. I think we all just need that helping hand and someone to be there for us.
Yeah, very much do. Which I think brings me to the last thing, or at least, I don't know, we'll see how far we go. There's so many things we could talk about. But your emphasis on sleep being important and kind of the greater sort of picture of this idea of body hacking. So taking care of yourself,
Yes.
really setting yourself up in the right way. And sleep, I know for you, is a huge piece of that puzzle. Can you tell us a little bit about like body hacking, what it is, taking care of yourself, sleep, all that good stuff?
Yes. So I've always been really into holistic health, but when I met my boyfriend, he actually introduced me to biohacking. And if if whoever's listening doesn't know what biohacking is, it's basically a term for someone who hacks their biology to live more optimally, more healthy, just, a better version of life that's kind of work smarter, not harder. So you can do this through supplements, you can do this through meditation and natural things. There's a lot of gadgets out there. I'm actually wearing a couple right now. um, so
Nice. What are these?
so I have my Aura ring. This is my smart ring. This is the most important one because it tracks my sleep. It gives me all of the stages of sleep that I've gone through within the night. It says how long it took me to fall asleep. It says how rested I am. But I really love seeing what time I was dreaming at during the night, and just
Yes.
how consistent it is and for how long. Because, you have no sense of time in the dream world. So it's crazy when I look at my phone in the morning and I see, oh my gosh, I was in REM sleep for almost 4 hours. Like, where was I? I only remember 20 minutes of it,
Gone.
what it feels for me, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, that's
Instagram
definitely
keeps
my
showing
favorite
me the
one.
Aura Ring, trying to get me to buy one. So it's I don't know. Papa Facebook already knows that
It's
I'd be
definitely
interested.
worth it. It's worth it for sure, but
Yeah?
it also
Okay, well, that's
tracks
good. I've never
your
met someone who had it.
yeah, it tracks your exercise. It gives you recommendations. There's meditations, breath work on there. There's so many things. It is so worth the
Okay,
money.
nice.
Also tracks your blood oxygen levels, your heart rate, your breathing, everything that you could think of. It's like a little doctor on your finger, and it's so like discreet. You would never think that this is like a smartwatch.
Had no idea. Had no
Yeah.
idea.
And then on my
Yeah.
ankle, I have the Apollo, which is it's a device that you put either on your wrist or your ankle, and it vibrates and it sends out frequencies into your body that can either calm you
Mm.
down, that can make you social, that help you sleep, that help you get into a meditative state. So right now I have it on the social setting, obviously, because we're having a conversation.
Makes
Um,
sense?
yeah. So just, little things like that have really, really helped me just kind of live more oh my gosh, I can't speak. Optimally, live more optimally,
Yes, yes.
and just, kind of be aware of what habits are working for me and what habits are not working for me. For
Mm.
example, if I ate late at night and my ring told me in the morning, like, hey, you didn't get as much deep sleep last night. Did you eat late before bed? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did. I need to not do that anymore, So it's
Okay,
just like
mom.
these little things. Yes, it is. It is a little mom. It says, like, oh, your bedtime's approaching. You might want to start winding down if you want to get a good night's rest.
I love that so much. We
Yeah,
we all need a little loving, caring mom in our lives, don't we? I mean, come on.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow,
And
that's great.
you
That's
just buy
great.
one. Buy a mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to 2022. We're
Yeah.
here. The future's now.
Yeah.
So this biohacking, and maybe I used the wrong term. I think I said body hacking. Biohacking is
It could
probably
be
the
either
better.
one.
Okay. It's this idea of really optimally setting up your life so that way you're not struggling against yourself, you're working with yourself. Um, I would imagine that kind of intuitive dream work, dream interpretation probably is a component of that then, because it's really well, it's really getting the most out of the work that you're doing while you sleep. Would that be right?
I think so. I think that everything that I do, um, it helps me in all areas of my life, if that makes sense. I always
I think
do
so, yeah.
things that will kind of be in alignment and kind of make everything else flow. And I feel like taking care of my health and doing the biohacking, it just puts me in the right mentality, because I think
Mm.
that, if your sleep is not good, if your diet is not good, if your exercise is not good, or you're overworked, like if you're not aware of these things, your consciousness is just not in the place where it could be, or, your brain is not operating optimally. Like you can't think about things as creatively as you normally would. So I think that, all of these little hacks that I add into my life for my health really helped me to just be in the right state of mind to intuit things and to just be emotionally available to help other people. So yeah,
Agreed.
if that makes sense. I don't know if I worded that quite right, but
No, I think you worded it perfectly. I think it makes total sense. There's many components I think to this biohacking. There's some physical components like tracking your blood oxygen, tracking your REM sleep levels. Having vibrations that really kind of get your body in alignment to the right directions that you need to go in particular situations. But then also some mental health kind of hacking. Some biohacking in that sort of sphere where you're interpreting your dreams, you're working with yourself, you're paying attention to the emotions and the feelings that you have rather than demonizing them and fighting against them, repressing and suppressing them, because you, that never works out.
no,
You can
never.
never get rid of those emotions. They're just going to squeeze out in a different way. Your body is calling out for help and calling out with messages to give you insight. And it's just it's frustrating for me that we live in such a world that is so black and white, where it says, if this is not helpful, it must be bad. Instead
Mm,
of saying,
mhm.
oh, maybe I just don't know why that's happening yet. maybe if I can
Yeah.
slow down and take a moment to understand what this is really telling me, I can have a better relationship with myself. I can have a better relationship with the world at large, so I can find my place and how I fit.
Wow, you said that so beautifully. I 100% agree.
Well, I'm just glad we're on the same page, because I think you are doing that work as well, and that's why I'm so excited to have you here, kind of talking about it. Because even though it's different perspectives, I don't think they're that dissimilar, and I do think that there's a lot of benefit to be had, whatever school you subscribe to. And what's actually really really cool about this is there is research currently in the works and even already published that shows just the process of interpreting your dreams improves mental health and improves empathy. So they actually did some really cool research that shows by listening to people's dreams, whether you interpret them or not, just listening and asking questions to people's dreams improves the empathy between those two individuals. And I mean, goodness, if there's one thing that we're struggling with as a culture, it's empathizing with one another and caring for each other. So it's just so neat to see that not only are we doing something that makes a significant difference in the lives of the people that we touch, but also there's research behind it that backs it up, saying, hey, the process of looking into your dreams is mentally beneficial. There are some documented results for this. You don't even have to have the right interpretation. Of course, it helps.
Yeah.
And someone who studied it like you, someone who studied it like us, and built some tools to be able to analyze these dreams is important. But even just the process of having that conversation already shows improvement.
Wow, that just made my day. That just made everything, that the work that we do so much more rewarding, that, it's actually making a difference, and not just
Yeah,
that person's day and, giving them clarity on something in their life, but actually making them a better person as a whole.
exactly. Well, and I
Yeah.
tell people that I'm working on this app and that I interpret people's dreams, and they're like, some people are very dismissive about it. They're like, oh, okay, you interpret people's dreams, and they meme it. I've had some people make some pretty memey duets with me, of like making
Oh
fun of me. And I'm
gosh.
like, you know what? That's okay. That's fine. Publicity is publicity. but
Exactly.
But what I want to say is, this isn't just a silly app. This isn't just a for fun app, or a for fun career that I'm working on. Um, this will change your life. Like, this will cause you to think different. This will cause you to feel confident, to feel peaceful, and to start making those connections and those movements toward the goals that you want to achieve, because you're able to get the insight from your mind. You're able to
Mhm.
get that insight from yourself. And I mean, who knows yourself better than you?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Wow,
Amazing.
that's good stuff. Well, so before we kind of wrap up, I would love to know, would you care to share one of the more interesting or more bizarre dreams that you've had, or maybe a dream that was particularly impactful for you in your life, and kind of how it sets you up to go in the right direction?
Okay.
A little bit on the spot. I didn't prepare you for this one. That's on me.
No, I mean, I could definitely think of a lot of them. Craziest one is
I love it.
probably the ones where I'm on my dream duty. So my dream duty is like, I don't want to make this sound like I have like a savior complex, but it's just where I always end up in my dreams is
Okay. Okay.
the
Yeah.
craziest ones are the ones where I'm not in my own body. I don't look like me. I'm a different age or a different gender or, a different, completely different race. I've been all different people, but there's one commonality within all of these dreams is that I'm in this other body, but there's people around me in whatever situation that I'm in that really need help. And I am the only one that can do that in that
Mm.
situation. So, for example, there was one dream where I was like this 6 foot Norwegian woman, like in some kind of like
Love
government
that.
agency. I was like a spy or like a secret agent or something. And there was this politician that he was just trying to destroy the entire world. He was a really evil guy. And they sent me after him to
Are you
take him
talking about
out.
today? This is right now, right? This is what's happening in our current world?
There's actually so many similarities. It's crazy,
Oh
but
my god.
yeah, and I do get some dreams that are kind of premonitions that I'd rather not share those. Sometimes they're a little bit,
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I didn't know this, but yeah,
Okay, so
so
it's
like
Norwegian
saving
woman.
people.
There's the corruption in the government. Okay, okay, I'm following with you.
Yeah, so I'm going after this guy, I'm doing flips and stuff. Like I'm so badass. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cool. Like
Hell yeah.
and then I'm like flying a little plane and he's flying in his plane and I'm like shooting him out of the plane. Like I'm trying to take this guy down. And I'm not one for
Yeah.
violence, but this is literally like he was evil, doing some really
Hmm.
awful things in society, so I'm shooting down his plane, but then I switch. I'm suddenly in his body and I'm experiencing all of the feelings that he's feeling. So those
Whoa.
types of dreams where I move body is just like the craziest to me because I'm experiencing kind of, I think, the collective consciousness and just being identifying with, the feelings that that person is having and moving bodies and how everything is connected and we really are just one being, if you will. That's at least what I
Yeah.
believe. Um, but recently, the dreams that I've been having, I don't think those dreams have really a message in them.
Yeah.
Not to me,
That's a
at least.
fantastic dream though. I just got to say that's awesome.
Right? Isn't
And
it so cool?
especially to
It's
like
so fun.
it's so cool to like change bodies and stuff. And it's like to maybe see things from a new perspective, even if they are
Yeah.
evil, to see things from a new perspective. It doesn't matter. Having that extra, point of view will help because,
Hmm.
whether it's to, whether it's like you're being a super spy and you can see it from their eyes. So now you know how best to take them down. Or if it's creating some empathy for, oh, okay, maybe instead of being so aggressive towards this, I can help change this into a more positive sort of thing for them.
For
Either
sure.
way, perspective is helpful. And the collective unconscious, like there's a lot of therapists and psychologists and, really important field people in the field who have believed that as well. So I don't think it's weird. I mean, even if somebody doesn't believe in maybe a more metaphysical, spiritual experience of the collective unconscious, just from a very basic biological perspective, we know that it exists because you have 5 fingers on your right hand. I have 5 fingers on my right hand. That is a shared experience. So when we go to reach for something, we will execute that in a similar way. That's a shared experience. That's a collective consciousness that we both have because we both are human, right? And so there's
Hmm.
there's these things that we share. This is like the whole field of like advertising, right? They know what colors are going to get your attention, what sounds are going to make
Right.
you move, right? And so this study and that stuff, you could call that the collective unconscious at the very least. And some people really think it's even deeper than that, which I know that's something that you work with a lot. Wow, great dream. I got so excited there.
Thanks.
What was this other one you were going to say?
Well, so recently I've been thinking about moving out of state and I haven't
Oh,
been 100% sure on where I want to go. I think I'm really over winter. Right now I live in Chicago. I've lived here almost my whole life. And I just really need
oof,
something
it's
new
cold.
and yeah, it's very very cold 9 months out of the year. So,
Hmm.
I was thinking about maybe LA or maybe Miami or maybe Houston and I was thinking like,
I mean,
like
I'm in Florida.
oh, oh, you're
Miami's
in Florida.
nice.
I love Florida, but I was
Love it.
thinking like, oh, like I really feel called to go to Miami or LA, but Houston is just so much more affordable. It's so much more practical. Like it's the logical thing for me to do.
Sure.
And I've been having dreams every night of, like for example, there was a dream that I had the other night where
Hmm.
I was in Mexico, but I was in Mexico with my family on vacation, but we were at like the grossest, tiniest, like rundown, like shack for a hotel room.
Ew.
And across the way, I see this resort. And I was like, why didn't we book that one? And my family was saying to me, oh, that one's too expensive. And I was like, but I don't want to be in here. So I swam across the ocean to get there. And I got there and I just, I jumped on the beach, I laid in a chair and I was at this resort for free. I was just had to swim there. And for me, that was showing me that, I can get there and I can do it in my way, in a way that makes sense to me. It might be a little bit harder to get there and I might have to go through some obstacles, but I will
Mm.
get there and it will be worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you've got your
So
answer.
yeah, yeah. So that's
Wow.
something that, is really, I just thank my spirit guides and my higher self every day when something comes through like that, that is just like so eye opening. And you just get that confirmation that you really do need to
Wow.
follow what feels right for you.
Yeah, gosh, that really resonates with me too. I even in you sharing that, there's a benefit that I get from recognizing some of those same themes in my own life. So thank you. Wow, that's a great dream.
Thank
That's really cool.
you.
Well, geez, best of luck on wherever you decide to move. I
Thank
know that you'll make a
you.
positive impact wherever it is. That's so great. That's
Where
so
are you
great.
located in Florida, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, not at all. So I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I think
Nice.
everybody on the
Love
internet knows my
Orlando.
offices are in Winter Park, which is like kind of in the greater Orlando area. So yeah, we've got the annual passes. We go to to Disney World all the time, and that's just kind of our backyard for us. Yeah,
Love that. That sounds like so much fun.
it's great, and the weather. I mean, it's very humid in Florida, but the weather is it's pretty nice, man. There's like
Yeah.
maybe two cold months,
Yeah.
and when I say cold, it's
It's not
like
cold. It's like
like
60 degrees there in the
60.
winter.
Yeah, that's it, summers get hot, but I mean, it's a peninsula, so you could always go to the beach or there's a
Yeah.
lake or something. I mean, it's I wouldn't move. I wouldn't move. I love it here. So,
I actually used to live there for 6 months, and I ended up coming back to Chicago, but
no
I
way.
think I wanna try again. Yeah.
Well, hey, if you ever, want someone to show you around, happy to do it.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
where
that.
I'm at. Cool. Well, Sanela, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to share like what you do and your passion behind it. It definitely was inspiring to me and I think to so many others. So keep on doing what you're doing. I'm sure it won't be the last time our paths cross. This is great.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you and get your perspective on, the kind of differences between what we do and the similarities as well. But thank you for all the
Yeah, I
work
think
that
it
you
helps.
do. And
Yeah.
thank you so
Well,
much
thank
for
you.
having me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
So I'm going to cut it there,
Okay.
but I'm going to stop recording this. Oh, okay. So what I think it will do is it will stop recording and it may give you the opportunity to download some files. Are you on your laptop or a computer?
I'm on my desktop, but yeah.
You're on your desktop? Okay.
Mhm.
I did a little test run this morning with somebody else. It didn't ask them to download any files. But what's weird is here it says that it might give you the opportunity to download something. I don't think I actually need it. All the files of the recording will already be saved in the cloud and on my desktop right here.
Mhm.
But if you want a copy of it, I think it allows you to download a copy of it as well, which is kind
Okay.
of neat. So just wanted to let you know that like this screen will end and it'll pop up with another screen, and
Okay.
just kind of let you know what happens there.
Yeah, I would
Cool.
love a copy and make some TikToks out of it if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I have an editing team that like cuts the video, makes it into a podcast that goes on YouTube, and then makes like 3 little teaser videos out of it. So
Okay. Yeah, that
I'll
works.
have those, and then you can repost them and kind of promote them if you want,
Cool. Yeah,
or
that works.
do
Perfect.
whatever.
Less
So
work for me.
that's what I'm saying, man. I'm tired.
I'm tired too, man.
Oh
Like,
my god.
there's not enough hours in the day.
For real, for real. Oh man. Well, this is great. Thanks again so much. Keep in touch. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to help you out
Yes,
with
thank you so
all the
much.
things
It's
you're
been
doing.
such a pleasure to talk to you. Like, I was honestly a little bit nervous before I came on because I know that we do come from different backgrounds, but doing the same thing. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being like so respectful and, really seeing my side of what I do. I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate that. That was like one of my biggest fears because I have actually gone on and talked to people and they kind of tried to make a little bit of a fool out of me. So, I really appreciate
Yeah.
that you were very respectful.
Definitely. Definitely not my motivation. I've had those experiences too, and they're not fun. Um it's yeah, it's frustrating. My goal has always been like um this is something that I think is so important that we can have discussion about it, but creating division inside of this space, I don't think will be helpful for this space at all.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's so much wisdom and benefit to dreams that I think we all need to be on the same page and validate each other in the pursuit of greater understanding of dreams. So I definitely wanted to communicate that and be like, hey, I'm not trying to attack. Like, I'm not trying to have like, this is a debate. No. I want
Right.
to spread
Yeah.
a greater understanding of this topic because it's kind of niche and it needs to be less niche. So
Yes, I agree. I
yeah,
agree. Yeah, and I like that
cool.
you didn't really make that separation. It was more of like a kind of interconnectedness. So I so appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
cool. Ah, that makes me happy. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
have a wonderful day. We'll keep in
Thank
touch.
you. You
I'll talk to you
too.
soon. Yeah,
Bye.
bye.